To today's infrastructure services meeting. We've got Zoom attendees. Lindsay McKenzie, welcome. I have one apology for lateness, and that's from Councillor Arnold. I'll move that apology for lateness be received. Seconded. Put that motion. Everyone in favour?
My apologies. Councillor Amundson's an apology for lateness.
Ah, okay. Rightio. We've just had been advised that Councillor Amundson as well. I'll include that with the seconder. I'll put that motion again. All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. Right, there's no public forum, but we do have a couple of minor late items that will be added today, and they are receiving the minutes to be confirmed from the Regional Public Transport Plan and the attachment of the new plan. Thank you. So I'll move that we receive those late items. Thank you, Councillor Lewis. I'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. That's passed. Right, we'll go to the first item, and that is the minutes of the Infrastructure Services Committee meeting held Tuesday, 7th April. Can I have someone confirm that? Thank you, Councillor Skelt. Seconder, Councillor Soper. Put the motion on all that. All those in favour?
Aye.
I just had a quick question.
Oh, yes.
Item 2, I just wanted to make sure that we had captured, this one's gone on for some time. My understanding of item 2 was that we had authorised the new title, but also then the transfer of part of that in an exchange that had been asked for last year.
Item 2 as in tab 6, the disposal of land for sale.
No, this is item 2 as in recommendation to council about the Q block.
Are we item 8, Mr. Chair?
So item 8, number 2.
Oh, item, right. Sorry, I'm still lost here on where we...
Item 8.
Then over the pages.
In the minutes of that meeting, number 8.
Oh, number 8. Right, gotcha. Yep.
It's the Q
Okay.
part.
Yep. The Q part. Yeah.
Yep.
Part 8. Yep.
So what was the question?
What was the question again?
So the question was, my understanding of the beginning of the Q Park Reserve classification was that it was because we'd been asked for an exchange of a small piece of that land with the new owner, and that we were fixing up the title issue and had agreed that the exchange would then happen, but I wasn't quite sure we had captured the exchange then happening in the motion.
Right. Who on staff would like to speak to this?
I can see Heather and Carrot. So there's a bit of a question. So there's two things going on here, I think, firstly, Mr. Chair. The first is whether the minutes are correct. And Councillor Soper is suggesting, I think, that there may be an omission from the minutes. And if I understand Councillor Soper correctly, her real question is whether the reason for the classification is recorded in the resolution, in the minutes.
My understanding of the discussion was that we were fixing up the classification so that we could then transfer the part, which we had actually agreed to last year, but then discovered that the title wasn't clear. So I'm not sure that it doesn't need a C that says then the transfer that council's already agreed can take place.
Mr. Chair, if you'd like to invite, I'm sure.
Welcome, Heather.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I can just clarify. So, yes, the process arose because of the request to do the exchange of land. It was discovered that the ownership of the land was not correct, and so this is what that is. And then once the ownership transfers into council, then the exchange of land will be advertised for public consultation as per the normal Reserves Act process. So that is why it only sits with that resolution that you're seeing in front of you now.
Right, so it doesn't need a C that talks about actually authorising that. That's fine. I just didn't want it to have not encompassed all it needed to.
Okay.
Great. Thank
Right, we all good? Thank you for raising that. Okay, we had a mover. I mistook Councillor Soper's hand up for a seconder. Seconded Councillor Ludlow. I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
That's carried. Thank you. We'll move to the minutes of the extraordinary meeting of the Infrastructural Committee held on 11th May. Someone moved. Moved Councillor Lewis, Councillor Abbott. Put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
That's carried. Right, we move now on to the Costello Legacy Report, and we're going to have Carolyn come and speak to that. Welcome, Carolyn.
Good afternoon, Your Worship, Councillors. So since this report, or since this issue was last brought to Council, we've done a significant amount of consultation with the community, and the last being a community workshop on the 17th of May, where we had a great attendance of the community to come and actually look at two concept plans of two areas that we were suggesting that this legacy could now be used at. We also held a workshop at the school that week to see if our school children in the area had any preferences to the two sites of preference, and they did. So what we have brought to you today is two options, with the community's preference being Duns Road and Aretti Corner as an area where we can build a pump track for the community and all those that are travelling past.
Excellent. Okay, we have three recommendations that the report be received. Second recommendation is that approve the recommendation that Derek Costello's $90,000 bequest, which provided the financial impetus for the project, be spent on option 2, that is the Duns Road, Aretti Road Corner Road Reserve. And also recommendation 3, acknowledge and give thanks for the significant work Ms. Ivy has undertaken with both the Otatara community and council to ensure the legacy achieves its intended purposes. Right, can I have someone move?
Yeah, I'll move that.
Thank you, and a seconder. Right, we have that moved and seconded. I'm going to open it up to discussion. Councillor Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I ask about the open drain and the preferred option there? How dangerous is that? In the weaknesses in the chart, it mentions an open drain.
It's, I suppose, most of Otatara has those open drains, and it is just one of many. We're going to try and mitigate that with with landscaping and planting in front of it to try and, I suppose, shield from view and obviously create a safety barrier.
Yeah, so it won't be a need for specific fencing.
No.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Councillor Clark.
Yeah, just like to add what Caroline said. We had a very good meeting with the senior students. They were very much divided on the two options until they realised that the option 2 actually involved a pump track and that it would be sealed, because some tracks that they've been considered, the kids have been thinking about, were actually just dunite, and of course that's no good for doing pump track work. You've got to be able to have a reasonably smooth service, so that significantly changed. And when it came to the public meeting, we had 45 people there. All but 3 went for option 2. The other 3 went for the Taiapa one, but they were more focused on having a walking track around that area, which is what option 2 is. So a really positive meeting.
Right, any other discussion, comments? I think this is great work done by both council staff, councillors and the community. So, but it moved and seconded. I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
That is carried. Thank you. We move on now to the disposal of land for sale. Erin, do you want to? Oh, Heather, we're back with you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, councillors. Brought this to your attention in November. Waka Kotahi wanted to take some land of part of the state highway, which they currently have. Some council land has been already repurposed for state highway. In their further diligence, they discovered a light pole, which appropriately should be situated within their land. So they have brought it back and asked for a further 48 square metres. And so I'm just asking for council permission to dispose of that extra portion of land as per the diagram attached.
Happy to move the two recommendations, Chair.
Second.
Thank you. We've had it moved and seconded. I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye, that is carried. Thank you for that, Heather.
Thank you.
Right, we move now to the Southland Regional Spaces and Places Strategy. And we have Ms. Gibbling coming to the table.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, councillors. I'll take the report as read, and I'll just add a few notes if I may. This is a really significant collaboration between Sport Southland, Sport New Zealand, the three councils and the key local funders within the Southland region. It's the first time we've ever got together to plan for our regional spaces and places with a sport and recreation and leisure focus. And it is a key document that will help all the councils and the funders make informed decisions for the future investment into sport and recreation assets. So what we're asking today is that council consider endorsing the Southland Regional Spaces and Places strategy, and in doing so acknowledging not only the work that's gone on by the staff of all those organisations, but recognising some of those strategic challenges that are identified in the cover report. And the key ones that we've faced include multi-single-use facilities, all requiring renewal, no or limited regional approach to the planning and management of those recreation assets for our community, and a real need for the future to focus on making sure that we're providing more efficient and effective spaces for the changing demands of sport and recreation. The way in which the strategy sets this out is that it's a focus on flexibility and sustainability, and it's best achieved through a really strong collaborative effort between all of those partners listed, both central government, local government and our local funders working together. And so for us, the outcome will be in Invercargill, better information to support our decision making, and also a platform by which we might work with our partners around the region, but also our funders, to make sure that we're making the best informed decisions for the future of our recreation assets. So happy to take any questions.
Okay, the floor is open for questions. Councillor Lillo.
Not really questions, Chair, but I'm happy to move the recommendations, and in doing so, say that it's been long on the table that we've wanted to collaborate across borders, and it's been great to have the other organisations buy in. I think having the report coordinated by Sport Southland's played a big part in that. We're looking to celebrate what's special in each area. You know, you wouldn't want to go and establish, for example, an ice skating rink in Invercargill because there's one just a little over half an hour up the road, and vice versa. It recognises what's special in each area. I think it also ties in with the reports that we've had done locally on Surrey Park and Rugby Park, and allows us the flexibility that we've factored into our long-term plan. I think the first time a suggestion of this was mooted was somewhere around 2005, 2006. So it's really good to be at this point now, and just really echo Steve's point from a governance perspective about how grateful we are for the organisations that have cooperated and put into this.
Thank you. Councillor Soper.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to second it, and I just want to say it's really great to have something this future focused that allows strong collaboration on the table at last. And I particularly highlight the issue of that high number of single-use facilities, and our need to design flexible spaces and really think about the future of our facilities for the long term. We all know how many of those single-use facilities have been built for various reasons at various times, now need a lot of maintenance and aren't necessarily any longer the most appropriate way in which sports can collaborate together. So I'm really pleased to see it here, and the regional planning approach I think is just a no-brainer. It is absolutely the way to go, so I'm happy to second it.
Thank you. The timing is excellent, noting that two major infrastructure pieces are in our long-term plan, and supporting use information is really going to help us spend wisely. So it's been moved, seconded. I'm going to put that. Oh, Councillor Crackett.
Thank you, Councillor Pottinger. Just noting that I'll be abstaining from voting due to my association with Sport Southland.
That is fine. That is noted.
As I will be with Stadium Southland.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Scott. Right. I'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against, that is carried. Thank you very much. Thanks, Steve. Right. We move on now to the activity report. Right. Erin, do you want to tackle?
I'll be speaking to that one.
It's multifaceted.
It is. So I'll take the report as read. Probably one of the key things I just want to highlight is just draw your attention to the work that's been happening around the activation trial down on Devon Street. And just around the fact that that's obviously work that's been part funded by the NZTA, by Waka Kotahi. It's been trialled in a few different areas around the country, similar types of activation. And so far, ICC's actually had a reasonably positive, I guess, response to that compared to where it's been trialled in some other areas. So I guess the suggestion would be that we probably got the scope of it about right, keeping in mind that it is only a month-long trial. And that we are really pushing with the community to talk to us about whether they've liked the idea of having that cycle infrastructure along Devon Street and whether it's something that they'd like us to explore longer term. The other piece I'd just like to draw attention to is just around the work on the Duns Road cycle path. Just around the fact that we've had some feedback from the community really requesting to know why was it needed, that they sort of felt that the infrastructure was fine as it was. Just wanting to clarify around the fact that the way that the pathway was being used along Duns Road, it was being used as a two-way cycle path. Which is, in a very simple way, it's illegal for it to be used in that way. To have a two-way cycle path where travellers are going against the grain of the traffic, you actually need to have that grade separation between the traffic lane and the cycle path. So that's the reason we've had to step in and do that path, so that we can actually make sure that the way that it's being used actually complies with the land transport rules. Any question on the infrastructure component?
Councillor Clark.
Yeah, just a reflection on the Ototara or Duns Road cycle lane. I'm also getting a lot of feedback that it's actually enhanced the safety of the children going to and from the school as well. So that's been a really positive thing because it's a large school, nearly over 300 now. So and that's been a nightmare in recent times. So that's one of the components around the safety of the school, is to have that safety barrier up and down Duns Road.
Thanks for that. Councillor Crackett and then Councillor Sofa.
I've just got a question around the part of the report that has the City Streets Upgrades Preferred Contractor issued as Downer, and in relation to the media release this afternoon that was sent out, that there'll be a drop-in session on the Wednesday the 9th between the neighbouring retailers and Downer and ourselves and that kind of thing. I wondered if that was going to be an ongoing, like, fortnightly logistics meeting as well, or is it just the public gets to
At
drop on in?
at this stage, whilst we're still sitting in the design phase of the project, it's not a regular one. We just have a few essentially ad hoc dropping sessions to talk to people about what's coming. Once we actually get into that stage of being into the construction or getting close to being into the construction phase, then that will become a regular piece. And with the appointment of Downer, that's the work that we're now doing with them, because they'll take a very integral role in that part. So we're just shaping that up with them now.
So what are the renewals that are happening in Esk Street at the moment?
So at the moment, there's no renewals that are happening in Esk Street. What they are doing is, there is work that's happening in Esk Street. Yes, so that's just around potholing to look at the ground conditions to inform the final stages of detailed design.
Are the neighbouring retailers being informed of that as it happens?
They are, yes. And that's on what's happening on Esk Street is obviously night works at this stage.
It's a little bit different.
Dunn Street is different. Don Street, Don Street is different, where that is renewals works that's happening there and is obviously affecting the flow of traffic through the street during the day as well.
Cool.
Thank you. Councillor Soper.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to take the opportunity to say that I think the Troopers Memorial is looking great, and it is really good to see the commencement of the work on the cenotaph. And I also wanted to take the opportunity to just comment on Parks and Recreation. I see that tribute has been paid to Mr. Pagan and his award. I just wanted to say that Parks and Recreation are keeping up the legacy very well. I'm getting constant comments about good things happening, and the light displays have been
Mr. Chair.
particularly noted.
Oh.
Yes, we've now stepped across into the other areas. So.
Steve, do you want to make a comment on this?
Thank you. No, I think we are incredibly proud of the legacy that Robin has left, and we're grateful that he was actually recognised for his significant services to parks and recreation horticulture in New Zealand. We were grateful that he's also been a great member of our community here in Invercargill. The only two other points I'd like to make, if I can, is whilst we've had the memorials work completed through the Provincial Growth Fund, that's a big piece of work for the team to have that already by Anzac Day commemorations. We've also opened a new $3.2 million hydroslide, and that's going incredibly well. And we've also been able to, with partnership from ILT and the ILT Foundation, been able to offer swimming lessons for the Bluff community and Makarewa communities through that amazing program we have. And we're working on that at the moment with those two schools, as well as all of the young people within our own community. So some really good progress through the month of April.
Excellent.
And
Yes.
Mr. Chair, just the third thing I was going to mention, the drilling of the test bore for our alternative water source. Have we got any timeline on when we might have had results from that test bore?
So not pardon me, not at this stage. What we've gone is we're just preparing a proposal to go out to providers to actually drill those test bores. Once we've got those proposals back and we've assessed those, then we'll be in a position to look at what would come back around the time frame.
Thank you.
Councillor Crackett.
Just one further question. It was about the participation with the new hydroslide. So this is your area, Steve. How is the staff reception to the groundswell of people coming through? Are we feeling like we've?
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor. Through the chair, we undertook quite a significant roster review across the end of last year and early this year in order to make sure that when we did have increased numbers of people come through the pool, that our roster was able to cope. And we have had no issues to date. And the feedback from the staff has actually been really positive, because it's great to have the place used and full. And what we have noticed is the significant numbers coming through from the opening, and it's been steady throughout. And so we're really excited. I think it's been a great investment in the community asset, and we're seeing that in participation.
Excellent. Right, any further discussion, Councillor Clark?
Yeah, just one issue on the alternative water supply and the test boring. And I know this predates you, Aaron, but when you look at the 3 ward report that Matt Russell from Southland District Council is about to present to us, the biggest issue we face by far is a lack of an alternative supply of water. And if we ever want to go through a debate of having whether we opt in or opt out of the 3 waters, which will come later this year, and it's not too far away, it would be helpful to know whether we have potentially an alternative water supply elsewhere, because that changes the dynamics of that decision, I think.
Take that on notice.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for raising that. Right. The recommendation is that the committee receives the activity report. Can I have someone move it? Moved Councillor Abbott, seconded Councillor Soper. I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That is carried. Thank you. That comes to the end of the in-public session. I'm going to move that we move into...
Just checking, Chairman, were we receiving the 2 late reports?
Ah, sorry, I thought we did that at the start. Sorry. Well done, fellow chair. Right, just before I forget, we are going to receive the hearing, the minutes of the hearings for the Regional Public Transport Plan held 27th of April 2021 to be confirmed, and that also receives the new transport plan. Can I have someone move that, please? Thank you, Councillor Skelp. Seconded, Councillor Clark. I'm going to move that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? That is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ludlow. Right, now, that is the end of the public session.
Happy to move into public included with the exception of Mr Grant and Mr Mackenzie.
Thank you. I have a seconder for that.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis. Put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That is carried. Thank you, members of the public.